this episode of My Cat's Tale, let's meet Malcolm the cat.
His personality seems to be that he wants to look after everybody else, check out what's going on. When he met Baby Dog, and Malcolm was like, I'll tolerate you for now. There's the straight one and the silly sidekick. So I like to think of them as Morecambe and Wise.
Joining us now on My Cat's Tale, we have Caroline, who is right now looking after Malcolm the cat. I should start there, Caroline. How is Malcolm?
Well, Malcolm's doing really well, thank goodness. We're about 5 weeks into his treatment now, I think, aren't we? It's been a while, and it's round-the-clock care that he needs, but he's a real tough boy, Malcolm. He's a fighter. He's got lots and lots of lives left in him. And he's fighting, you know, he's really not willing to lay down and give up. So he's being his usual strong self and giving us trouble already, trying to get out, trying to open doors, trying to go upstairs, all the things he's not supposed to be doing yet, he wants to do. So we can tell that means he's getting better.
That is really great to hear. I mean, a bit of backstory. You and I were going to speak about 5 weeks ago to talk about Malcolm, how much fun he's having in life, the partner he's got there in the house. But he was, well, why don't you tell the story from there?
Yeah, well, it was literally the night before we were due to speak, unbelievably. It was the Friday night, and I'd come home about 9 o'clock in the evening, and literally about 15 minutes later, there was a frantic knock at the door, and it was one of our neighbours shouting, "Malcolm, Malcolm!" And we ran out of the house, and he was in the road, bleeding from his mouth. It was awful, really awful. And he hadn't been there when I'd come home, so it must have just happened, which is a blessing, I guess, because we found him quickly. Hopefully that made all the difference. We just scooped him up and drove to the vet straight away, and that was where we had a nightmare few days where we didn't know whether he was going to pull through. Yeah, it was tough. So that's why I contacted you the next day and said, I'm really sorry, I can't talk to you.
And I'm like, there are far more important things than talking to some Scotsman. Take care of Malcolm. But Malcolm he's been in the wars, he's still going through treatment, but as of now he is in a really good place, isn't he?
He is, and there's no reason why he can't make pretty much a full recovery. I mean, his hip surgery does mean that he does need physio. We don't know if he'll get complete mobility back, but we're doing everything we can. He hates the physio, absolutely hates it. We have to sort of manipulate his leg joint. They said do it 2 or 3 times a day, about 10 movements up and out, just to extend the leg. And he hates it, and he shouts and complains and tries to get away. So he's really making it difficult for us, but we're trying our best. So hopefully he will get most of his mobility back. As I say, he's already breaking all the rules, jumping up and down on the sofa. There's nothing wrong with him in that regard. So yes, and in terms of his jaw, I mean, he had real specialist treatment. It needed to be. The vet said that an ordinary surgeon couldn't do it because it was so badly broken and dislocated as well. So he went to a specialist, and it's wired. His jaw is wired for 8 weeks, but at the end of it, it should be fine. That's what they've told us. So we hope for the best.
And it is one of those moments that everyone who has a cat, or who has any pet, but especially cats who just love to go out and roam, just fears that knock at the door, that we don't know what's happened, but something has happened. Oh,
it was, I can't describe how awful it was. We were absolutely terrified. He just had, as I say, he was bleeding from his mouth, and his eyes were wide, and we didn't know obviously how bad it was. We didn't know what happened. We didn't know if he was going to survive. It was terrifying. My husband was absolutely distraught. If you can hear a noise, that's Malcolm now trying to open the door because I've shut him in. Yeah, and he's done it. There we go. So he's now opened, not the door to the outside, I hasten to add, the door to another room where he wants to go. My husband, who I think loves Malcolm more than he loves me, in fairness, was absolutely distraught. Which is why it's announcing on Twitter, because obviously he's got all these wonderful, loyal, just gorgeous followers. I cannot speak highly enough of our wonderful, wonderful followers on Twitter who are so supportive. But telling them, my stomach was churning, because I know I'm going to cause people pain. They all love him, and announcing that what happened was horrible.
But at the same time, that community, Malcolm, through yourself and your husband, could draw immense strength from the amount of love that's there.
Oh my goodness. That first 36 hours where the vet said, we don't do anything when a cat has been hit by a car. We don't do anything for 36 hours because of the chance of brain damage or internal bleeding that will follow. So they do an initial check and they think they find, everything that's going on. But the chance of something else developing in that first 36 hours is quite large, is, significant chance. So they just keep the cat comfortable and don't do anything. So you have that first 36 hours where you think, well, if we get through this, we've got a hope. But we got through that, I think, with the love and support of all these wonderful friends on Twitter, animal Twitter, who were just incredible. I think he trended on Twitter almost every day for a week, over a week, and still now. And Baby Dog, obviously, our dog Eric, who's his companion. But between them, they were trending every day around the world, not just in the UK, but America and other countries. So, yeah, incredible. And it kept us going, really. All that love and support. We didn't feel we were on our own dealing with it.
What about Baby Dog? Because you have a household there with a cat and a dog. Classic yes. Double act going on there. Yes. And one of the things that I loved was the pictures of Baby Dog having a sniff around the cage, and the bigger cage. And where's Malcolm? Oh, Malcolm's home.
Their relationship feels unique to me. They absolutely adore each other. And we've had in the past, when Eric was very ill and he had to have an operation, Malcolm did not leave that dog's side. He didn't
Eric's
leave
Baby Dog.
Eric is Baby Dog. Yeah, that's right. And then this was the same the other way around, really. Eric was obviously there the night that Malcolm got hit, and we brought him in initially. We brought him into the house, and Eric was just all round. What's happened? Just you could see the concern. And then obviously Malcolm not being here all that time. Poor old Baby Dog. He was not himself, discombobulated, I like to call it, but he was not himself at all. And then when we brought Malcolm home, he was right by his side. I'm going to position myself by this crate, and I'm going to stay here, and I'm going to watch out for him. And that's what he's done. It's lovely. It's just lovely.
What was it like the very first time that Eric and Malcolm met?
It was, let's think, roughly two and a bit years ago. So we brought Baby Dog home from where we bought him. It was. We can't forget it, because it was the weekend that we first went into lockdown. And it was a complete coincidence. I know a lot of people got dogs during lockdown, but we had planned it, so we'd been planning it for months, and we were due to collect him on the Saturday that we went into lockdown. And so the lady who was selling him to us said, could you just come the night before? Because I think we won't be able to go out tomorrow. So, and that was literally it. So from day one of lockdown, we had our Baby Dog, and we brought him home, and it was great timing. Although I think it's changed his personality, because obviously he's a lockdown puppy. So right from the word go. He didn't meet anybody else. He didn't go to anyone else's house. Nobody came to our house. So that's obviously going to change a dog's behaviour. And he had, because there are 4 of us in our house, he had us all here all the time. So, for months and months, he had us all here. So, that's shaped his personality. When we're out, he's so friendly, and he loves other animals, and he loves other people. But we can see nerves. When he sees someone else, a new person, he's nervous, and he moves away from them and waits until he feels okay about it. Still, now he's a guard dog because he still can't get used to someone knocking at the door, for example, because he didn't have that for, 6 months or so of his life. So when someone knocks at the door, he goes absolutely crazy. And I don't think that's ever going to change. But once he gets to know someone, if he meets someone a few times, he's all over them. Yeah, he's the friendliest dog in the world.
What about Malcolm meeting him for the first time?
Yes. So when they first met, he was tiny. Baby dog was smaller than Malcolm at that point.
How old would Malcolm have been at this point?
So we guess Malcolm's age because he was a rescue cat. So we don't know exactly his age, but probably 11, okay. 10 and a half, something like that. So, Malcolm is cool. This is the thing. He's a cool cat. He's always in charge, and he's always, I think his personality seems to be that he wants to look after everybody else, and he wants to be on top of everything, and he wants to check out what's going on. So we were pretty confident that it wouldn't faze him having a dog in the house, that he would still be in charge. We were confident, and he is. There's no doubt about that. So when he met Baby Dog was like, yay, a friend. And Malcolm was like, all right, I'll tolerate you for now. And he did, bless him. In those early days, Baby Dog was all over Malcolm. Constantly jumping on him, wanting to play with his tail and all of this. He still does that a bit now, but far more reserved. But Malcolm just put up with it, bless him. He's so patient. He just put up with it. But also, he immediately, because we find with Malcolm, he's always wanted to look after the children as well. If I walk my youngest to school, Malcolm will want to come with us and follow, and always looking out and checking. And he's done that with Baby Dog as well. He's sort of, you're a bit of a nuisance, but I'll just check you're okay. And that was how their relationship developed. But now, as I say, they just adore each other.
And now those roles feel like they're reversed, with Baby Dog doing all the caring and Malcolm just like, oh, it's me, oh.
Yes, there has been an element of that. Definitely, Baby Dog has been sort of watching over Malcolm and checking he's okay. And interestingly, we have another dog staying with us at the moment, Trixie, who is my friend's dog. It wasn't the best timing in the world, but I agreed to look after Trixie for 2 weeks while my friend was away, and I didn't feel I could say no, even despite what's happened. I just didn't want to let her down. So we still have another dog here. And it's interesting. So Baby Dog's dynamic there, because he wants to play with Trixie, but he has to check on Malcolm. And it's very interesting to watch the psychology of what goes on, because he'll play with Trixie, but then he'll be checking over, going over to Malcolm, giving a sniff. Are you okay? It's very interesting. It's almost as if he's torn between what he should be doing. Should he be playing or should he be looking after Malcolm? So there's a bit of both going on.
As Malcolm's getting his strength and his curiosity back, see the door earlier, has that attitude changed? Have you seen Baby Dog just go, right, I'll give you a little bit more space, or is Baby Dog just being incredibly possessive right now?
Oh, well, it's changed in that I think he was holding back. Baby Dog was holding back in terms of getting too close and that sort of thing. But what I've seen over the last few days, and I've shown this on the Twitter page, is that as soon as he felt it was okay, baby dog was straight in for cuddles, straight in. He always likes to use Malcolm as his pillow. You see, he lays his head on Malcolm, and that's his favourite place. And he had been holding back. He just knew. He knew he couldn't do that. He shouldn't be doing that. But now he's in there for cuddles. So he thinks, he's sussed the situation, and he thinks, I can do this now. So there's been him going in for cuddles over the last few days, which is nice.
I'm loving the relationship. I can't decide if it's like an Abbott and Costello or a Garfield and Odie.
You've got the funny one and the serious one. So I like to think of them as Morecambe and Wise, and in fact, he is Eric. It was something that we discussed when we called him Eric. Yes, there's the straight one and the silly sidekick, and that's the way I look at them.
What sort of adventures did they get up to during lockdown?
See, we have to curb Malcolm, because if he had his way, he would follow us wherever we go. And although he has always been very streetwise, there are limits, So if we were going during lockdown, we would go on longer walks, and we can't allow him to follow us because it's not safe, if we're crossing roads or whatever. I mean, he would want to, but we can't. So we would still try to keep him in when we were going out. But every now and again, he foxes us and gets out. He's got his wicked ways. And then yes, he would. He loves. They play this hide and seek game, or Malcolm likes to follow but pretend he's not there, almost like a spy. So we'll be walking, and then he'll be darting from bush to tree, or hiding behind things. And if you turn around, he'll freeze and pretend he's not there, which is great fun.
And go right back. You said there that Malcolm was a rescue. Tell me about that.
Yeah, so it's a funny old thing, because I'm allergic to cats, believe it or not. And so I've never had a cat, and avoided cats, as you would if they made your eyes run and itch and things and make you sneeze. So, but my cousin, she's wonderful. She's a big animal rescue person, and she's a dog groomer, but she rescues a lot of animals. And she has a dog grooming shop. And one day she phoned me up and she said, do you want a cat? And I said, don't be silly. I'm allergic to cats. Why are you asking me that? And she said, no. This is a hypoallergenic cat. And I never heard this. So what are you talking about? You're making it up. Don't be silly. No such thing. She said, no, I promise you. She said, if you don't believe me, come down and meet this cat, and he will not have any effect on you. So I said, all right. So my eldest daughter, who people will know as the teenage one, she was 5 at the time, something like that. We both went down to my cousin's dog grooming shop and went in, and there's Malcolm sitting there amongst all the dogs. I think this is one of the reasons why he's so good with dogs. He had 2 weeks living in this dog grooming shop with my cousin because she rescued him from the streets. And so we spent half an hour with him, and we cuddled him and played with him and kissed him and all these things, and no effect on me, I was so astounded. So, and we just loved him. I mean, we fell in love with him straight away. We just took him home there and then. It was just the two of us. We came home. I can't remember what the situation was, but we needed to go straight out again. There was somewhere we needed to be. So we literally brought him home and dropped him off and said, see you later. And we went out. And my husband, I literally just texted my husband and said, oh, we've got a cat. And then he came home later. He came home before we did. And he said he couldn't believe it. He walked into the house. There's Malcolm, and Malcolm's wrapping himself around his legs, or as if he'd been there forever. It's like, welcome home, Dad. It literally as if he'd been part of the family forever. So that was it. So we just became a family.
Was he always a Malcolm then?
Yeah, my cousin named him Malcolm.
Any idea why?
No, I think she likes old man names, as opposed to dogs that are called names that you make up, like Rover, or whatever. She likes old man names. So she named him Malcolm. So we thought that's okay. We'll stick with that. And that's why when we got baby dog, we called him Eric, because we wanted to, if you've got one old man name, you need another old man name, don't you? I'm probably offending loads of people now saying old man name. Sorry.
There's lots of Erics with Young as the surname going, I'm Eric Young, this is wrong.
Actually, yes, Simon Cowell called his son Eric, and he's a young boy. So I don't know what I'm talking about, really, do I? But we felt that Malcolm and Eric went together.
And they just have that air. So yes. Malcolm has the rule of the house for many years then?
Yes. Yeah. I mean, literally, he was the big boss. He was in charge, not just of our house, but of the neighbourhood. I mean, he is a famous cat. We found this out when we lost him. It was early on. It must have been within a year of having him. And we went to the park. And one day, the three of us walked up to the park. This was the first time he followed us. So he followed us. We didn't realise he was following us at the time. And then, there he is. When I say the park, it's like a playground, and it's only 5 minutes from our house. But we walked up there and he followed, and we thought that was hilarious. And he watched my daughter on the swings and that sort of thing. And then he got distracted by a bird or something in a bush, and he ran into the bush, and we didn't know where he'd gone. So we thought, he'll come home. So we left and went home, and then he never came home. He didn't come home that night, and he didn't come home for 3 nights, and we were absolutely frantic. And we put posters up all around the neighbourhood saying, this is Malcolm. If you see him, please ring, blah, blah, blah. And we had so many phone calls from people going, I know Malcolm, and from far and wide. So we realised we got a sort of insight then into how far and wide our cat was going, and the number of people said, he comes into my house. No, I give him things to eat. So many people. It was a real eye opener. But we didn't. It was 3 days, and we thought, this is it. We're not going to see him again. And then one day, someone phoned and said, just seen Malcolm. He's at the park. Obviously, where we'd last seen him, and he'd stayed there because he didn't see us leave, and he was protecting this. What we've come to realise over the years is that he felt very protective over the children. So I think he was waiting there for my daughter so that he could take her home. So we went back. I mean, at first, my husband and I went back individually. I went, then he went, calling Malcolm. No, didn't come out. So then we went up with my daughter, and we told her to shout, and she did, and he came out. He came out and followed her home. So we just, truly believe that he was protective over the children. So this is one of the reasons as well why we try to keep him in when we go out.
But it sounds like a household that has so many close bonds between all of you.
Yes, yeah. I mean, yes, we are. There's 4 of us. We're very close, and we love animals. Malcolm was our first animal as a family. Obviously, we've now got baby dog, but as an extended family as well, we are animal lovers, very much so. There are lots and lots of dogs in our family, cousins, my sister, aunts and uncles. There's lots of us, and we've all got dogs and cats. So yeah, big animal lovers.
But it sounds like somewhere someone decided, Malcolm went, nope. You're going to be a cat household. You're going to be the lead cat household in this family full of dog households.
Well, yeah, it's, as I say, I would never, ever. I mean, I was slightly scared of cats, having, always been allergic to them. I'd never gone near them. And I used to think, oh, no, sharp claws, or I'm not keen, And I used to be quite nervous of cats. And I never imagined I would have a cat. Never imagined it. So it was news to me. Who would have thought? Who would have thought that we would have this wonderful cat who literally is famous in the neighbourhood, and he's the boss. I have to say, there's lots of cats around here, and he tends to be in charge.
It's going to be. Does that mean then that there's a whole bundle of cats around their neighbourhood thinking, "This is my chance. This is my chance to own the neighbourhood." Oh, Malcolm's back. No. Just keeping it warm for you.
Well, I did introduce baby Ralph, the kitten, on the Twitter page recently, because our house 2 doors down got a kitten, who is very adventurous indeed, and he keeps coming in. I mean, we have to keep the door shut now because of Malcolm, so he's only invited in now if he asks. But yeah, he was always outside, and he latched onto Malcolm quite early. It was like, okay, you're the boss around here. I want to be friends with you. So he latched onto him, and he would often be with him hanging around outside, and Malcolm trying to show him the whys and wherefores of what you should do and what you shouldn't do.
And again, it's Malcolm showing this almost parental responsibility to anyone he meets.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, that's the case. And looking out for him, telling him off, telling him not to go up there and don't do this and don't do that. That's what he's saying, definitely.
But the main thing, certainly for me, and I know for you, is that Malcolm is on the mend.
Well, it's everything, isn't it? I mean, we can't imagine not having Malcolm, and obviously not having baby dog now. So yeah, it's everything. I would like to use this opportunity to say thank you to all of the followers on Twitter, because something I've never ever done before is ask for help like I had to. The vet told us that this was going to be thousands and thousands and thousands of pounds, this treatment. And people will say to me, well, why didn't you have insurance? We've got insurance for baby dog. We got it right from the word go when we got him. I don't know really what happened with Malcolm, other than that it was sort of an accident we got him. It was sudden, and he was our first pet, and we just didn't do it. I don't know why. We didn't think of it. And he's never been ill, apart from last year. I think when we're pretty sure he had COVID. The vet called it a virus, but he had every symptom of COVID. And I know cats can catch COVID. And he slept for 2 weeks and was listless and everything. But really, and that didn't cost very much with the vet. It wasn't a lot of treatment. He needed some antibiotics, and that was pretty much it. So I think lulled into a false sense of security with Malcolm, in terms of he's just always been so fit and well. But anyway, if we had insurance, it wouldn't have come close, because there's a limit to how much they'll let you, claim. And it was way, way, way beyond that. So, yeah, so we had that 36-hour period where we had to decide what to do. And the vet, obviously, as they have to do, said, well, some people may choose to put their animal down at this point, because it is going to be extortionate amount of money, and we have to give you that option. And my husband was saying, well, we'll have to sell the car, we'll have to do this, we'll have to do that. But even then it wouldn't have covered it, and we just didn't know what we were going to do. And I had a sleepless night thinking, what on earth are we going to do? And for the first time ever, and it was a life lesson for me, I thought, I've got to ask for help here, because otherwise we're going to lose him. And I couldn't face that, So it was very hard. And I have to say, traumatic. It was a traumatic day, because I put the tweet out telling everyone what had happened, and saying, if you feel you can help, please do, that would be lovely. And then I had to shut my phone down, and I put my phone in a drawer, closed the drawer, walked away, and didn't look at it for the rest of the day, because I was so anxious about asking for help. It's not something I do easily. I'm quite a tough sort of get on with things, and so I didn't look at my phone for the rest of the day. And my husband, but when people donated something, I got a little email, a little whistle sound on my phone. But I literally left the room and didn't go back in that room. My husband did, though. Around about 6:00 in the evening, he came upstairs and he said to me, your phone's been whistling a lot. And I said, has it? And then I almost felt more anxious at that point. I just didn't know what to think or what to do. And I just couldn't look at it. I couldn't face looking at it. So I left it for the whole evening. And the next morning, the vet was going to phone. So I needed to look and see if we had anything there that we could work with, So I looked, and I just couldn't believe it. I just couldn't believe the money was being raised. And in the end, I had to put out a tweet saying, please stop sending, please stop donating. Staggering generosity, kindness of people who, we've never even met, but who were touched enough to help. And I don't think I will ever believe what's happened, to be honest with you. And it restores your faith in human nature, that people can be so kind, to do that for, to do that for Malcolm, and ultimately to do it for us, because we would have lost him otherwise. So I am absolutely, well, we all are indebted to every single person who donated some money to pay his bills. Incredible. So I'm truly, truly grateful. If this is a way that I can say thank you to all those people, then that's wonderful.
And I'm sure they will all hear it. And even those that don't hear it directly will feel that love through the tweets, the messages, the photos, and Malcolm's story as he climbs back up to health, and baby dog just, I want another cuddle, another cuddle, another cuddle, another cuddle. It's just like, I'm better now, I can swipe you. That will happen. If it's not happened already, I'm sure that will happen at some point.
The number of people who said during lockdown, you've given us some happiness, thank you. I never expected the Twitter page to erupt the way it has, and I really never expected any of this. But I started to feel like I was doing something a little bit positive. Sorry, there we go. Did you hear that?
Somebody wants to go. It's my cat's tail, Eric. The clue is in the name.
Please. Yes, I started to feel like something really positive was coming from it. And, the number of people who were saying, this is the highlight of my day, checking the tweet, checking what Malcolm and Eric have been doing is the highlight of my day. So thank you for that. Keep sharing. And, it's really lovely to feel like you're doing something positive. It's a really lovely feeling. And Eric agrees with that. Yes, baby dog. So yes, I didn't expect any of this to happen, but if it brings a little bit of happiness to people, then brilliant. I will continue to do it for as long as I can.
Our history is all about stories, and stories are all about tales. And this has been Caroline. Thank you very much for letting us know how Malcolm's getting on just now, and how baby dog is just bouncing around like the other half of a double act.
Yes, yes, indeed. Thank you for having me. Thank you very much.
You've been listening to My Cat's Tale, a Spence Media production. Listen to more tales of our perfect pets at mycatstalepod.com and support us on Patreon.